The afternoon sun pressed hard on Ouagadougou. Sidewalks cracked under the heat. Dust rose with every passing step, and the city pulsed with restless noise. Vendors shouted prices, and children darted through traffic with baskets. On their heads, through the chaos, a plain government car moved slowly. No sirens, no heavy convoy, just a driver, 2 aides, and President Ibrahim Traoré in the back seat. He preferred it this way. Power would not build walls between a leader and his people, he often reminded his team. As the car paused at a crowd-intense section, Ibrahim noticed a tiny figure forcing her way through the noise. She looked no older than 8. Her dress was faded thin, and one sandal flopped loosely on her foot. In her small arms, she balanced a tray of offenets and candies lined neatly as if they were a treasure. Her eyes flickered nervously toward the guards, but hunger gave her courage. She stepped closer, voice trembling, nearly swallowed by Thayerns. "Please, sir, would you like to buy something?" One of the guards lowered at the window halfway, ready to wave. "Hair off," but Ibrahim lifted his hand. "Leather come." The window rolled down fully. The girl froze. She had expected just another passenger, not the president himself. Her breath caught. The man she had only seen on old TV screens now looked at her with calm, steady eyes. "How much are the peanuts?" Ibrahim asked gently. 50 francs, sir," she whispered, holding out a packet with both hands. He took it carefully, then slipped her a note worth 10 times Thepris. Her eyes widened, disbelief and gratitude battling across her face. Before she could speak, Ibrahim leaned forward. "Turn into the next street," heddled the driver. Then to his aide, "Bring her with us." The guards exchanged quick, uneasy glances.
"Excellency, that's
not protocol." "Protocol can wait," Ibrahim said firmly. "This child cannot." The girl clutched her tray tighter, uncertain if she should run. Ibrahim leaned closer, his tone softening. "Don't be afraid. Only want to talk to you." Her small chest rose and fell quickly. Then, with hesitant steps, she climbed inside. Air touched her skin, but her body stayed stiff, as if she had stepped into a world that didn't belong to her. Inside a car, the chaos of the street faded until only the soft hum of the engine remained. Cool air brushed against a waskin, but she still sat stiff. Her tray of peanuts balanced carefully on her lapas, if letting go might break her world. Ibrahim leaned forward, lowering his voice. "What's your name?" Her lips moved slowly. "Wow, that's a beautiful name," he said with a warm smile.
"And how old?"
"Are you 8? His eyes softened. 8 and already carrying work meant for grown-ups? "Do you sell peanuts every day?" She nodded, eyes down. "Yes, sir, I must help my father." Ibrahim stayed quiet, letting the silence do its work. Little by little, her words began to spill out. "My father. He used to drive a taxi," she murmured. "But after the accident, he can't move his legs. Mama is gone, so now it's just us. I sell to buy food to pay what we can." Her voice shook, and she turned away quickly, ashamed of saying too much. Ibrahim's chest tightened. He had read countless reports on poverty. None had struck him like this. A child telling her story in the same calm way a minister might read a budget. "Do you like school?" "Awa," he hissed gently. For the first time, Harifus lit up a small flicker of joy. I did. I liked it a lot. Specio drawing. But I stopped after Mama died. I must stay with Papa, and we need money. Her small hands pressed tighter on the tray. The air grew heavy. Ibrahim reached out, resting a steady hand on her shoulder. "You deserve to be a child, Owa, to learn, to dream, to laugh, not to carry the world on your shoulders. That is your right." His voice grew firmer. "I will help you return to school, and your father will not be left behind." Her eyes lifted, doubtful yet fragile with hope. "Why would you help me?" she whispered. "Because your life matters," Ibrahim replied softly. "Because of children, like you are the future of Burkina Faso." Her lips trembled as she fought back tears. For the first time she looked at him, not with fear, but with a spark of belief. As the car looped back toward the corner where Shet stood, Ibrahim opened a small bag beside him, pulled out a clean notebook and a box of colored pencils, placing them gently in her lap. Start writing your dreams. Ah, wah, he said. Draw them. Keep them alive. We will make them come true. Her fingers ran over the smooth cover of the notebook, then touched each pencil as though they were jewels. A shy smile tugged at her lips, the first light breaking through her guarded face. And in that quiet car, far from the noise of the boulevard, a premise was born, one that would not stay hidden within four walls, asterisk back inside the presidential palace. The air conditioner whispered cool air, but Ibrahim felt no comfort. He sat still, staring at the polished floor. Though his mind was far from the room, Avasas kept echoing, Mama is gone. Papa cannot walk. He had read poverty reports 1,000 times. He had signed no documents filled with numbers, but now every number had a Waz face. Everest Titzik sounded like her small voice. If his promise to her meant anything, it could not wait. That evening, he summoned his ministers. The long mahogany table gleamed under that chandelier, covered with folders and papers. They expected another routine meeting. Instead, Ibrahim's voice cut through the room. Today I met Akld, he began slowly, his tone carrying weight. Her name is Awa. She's 8 years old. She sells peanuts on Thess Street because her mother has died, and her father cannot walk. She no longer goes to school, and she is not alone. Thousands of our children are living Thesam's story. This must change, not tomorrow, not next year. Now, the room grew stiff. Ministers shifted in their seats. Cough broke the silence. Asterisk Excellency, one minister said carefully. With respect, these issues they are complicated. Budgets are already Ibrahim's. Palm touched the table, not loud but firm enough to silence the mon. His eyes swept across the room. Donut, give me excuses. Give me truth. You want to know how many children are out of school and why? Not in 6 months. Not in 3, 2 weeks. Don't want paperwork. I want solutions. No wonder to argue. His voice carried through it of command and of urgency. 2 weeks later, stacks of reports filled his desk. Ibrahim opened them one by one. The truth was heavier than I imagined. Tens of thousands of children had dropped out or had never seen a classroom at all. Many sold peanuts, maize, or scrap on the streets. Others worked in workshops. Some simply vanished into the shadows of poverty. But papers were only ink. He needed to see it himself. So once again he left armored convoy behind. He walked an arrow. Alleys of Ouagadougou, then traveled out to forgotten villages. He sat on straw mats inside cramped homes where 5 people shared one bed. He tushed cracked bowls that had nothing left to hold. He listened to silence where children's laughter should have been. Noni dusty courtyard. He met an old woman named Fatu. She lay on a mat, her breath shallow, her bones frail. Granddaughter roasted maize by their roadside to keep them alive. Every day my heart breaks, Fatu whispered, her voice trembling. She should be in school. But what choice do we have? Her tear stained her wrinkled cheeks. Ibrahim stood outside afterward. His fists clenched, the heat of the sun pressing down. What choice do we have? The word seared in him like a wound. And in that meant, he understood this was not just about classrooms, it was about survival itself. Like at the palace, Ibrahim called his ministers again. This time his voice carried no hesitation, no pause. It was urgent, unshakable. Half measures will change nothing, he said, pacing slowly in front of the long polished table. We must strike at their roots. He pointed to the pile-off reports spread across the wood. Food first. Number. Child can learn on an empty. Support for disabled parents, wheelchairs, ramps, therapy, dignitire stirred, and stipends. Families who keep their children in school will not be punished by poverty. They will be supported. One minister shifted nervously. Excellency, the scale is enormous. Even with aid, the budget. Ibrahim's hand pressed firmly against table. His voice dropped, but it trolled through the room like thunder. Scale is no excuse. Every day we delay. Another child lays down a dream. Children are not numbers. They are futures, and we cannot afford to lose no more." The room fell silent. "No," one argued again. Instead of charts and graphs, Ibrahim carried Awa's story.
I spoke of her.
Small hands clutching a tray of peanuts, of her father lying helpless on a low bed, of a school uniform folded away because hope no longer fit, and the world listened. Funds began to flow. Volunteers signed up, experts flew in. What started as one child's struggle became a call that crossed borders. But for Ibrahim, the headlines meant nothing. It was never about programs. It was about her, about her. 3 weeks later, he returned to her neighborhood quietly. No cameras, no banners, just a small convoy of social workers, rehab staff, and crates off supplies. The alley smelled of smoke and roasted maize. Children peeked from doorways as the president passed, whispering in awe. Inside the one-room house, Awa's father sat on a low wooden bed. When he saw Ibrahim, his hands gripped the frame as if to rise. Ibrahim stepped forward quickly, laying a steady hand on his shoulder. "Please," he said softly, "don't strain. You've already carried enough." The man's voice cracked heavy with years of silence.
Accidentally in my wife's death.
Awa kept us alive. She became both daughter and mother in this house. Need to explain, Ibrahim repligently? From today, you are not alone. Across the room. Awa sat hunched over his notebook he had given her, pencil smudges on her fingers. She was drawing a tree. When she looked up and saw him, her eyes widened. But this time, they held no fear, only trust. Ibrahim knelt beside her and brought out a neatly folded uniform and a backpack filled with notebooks, pens, and art supplies. "These are yours," he said, "for the classroom where you belong." Her hands trembled as she held them close, clutching the uniform as if it were the key to a door she thought was locked forever. Her father buried his face in his hands, tears streaming freely.
Thank you.
"You, sir," he whispered. "I never thought anyone would come for us." Ibrahim turned to the rehab worker at the door. "Tomorrow we begin. Wheelchair, a ramp, regular visits, meals, transport, tutoring. This family will not be forgotten." And he looked back at AWA, his voice softening. "Your only job now is to learn. To dream and to grow. Leave the burdens to us." And in that small, crowded room, hope lit up for the first time in years. A week later, the program began to take shape. At Awa's home, a small team moved carefully through the narrow doorway. Rehab worker measured the frame with tape, jotting notes. Caseworker crouched beside her father, speaking atly. "The wheelchair will arrive tomorrow. Physiotherapy twice a week. Social worker will visit every Friday and the stipend transferred. Monthly. If AA struggles at school, we'll step in right away." Her father's lips trembled. He pressed his palms together as though afraid the moment might vanish. "It feels like a dream," he whispered. Outside, a yellow school bus waited. The words "School Route 3" painted on its side. Children leaned from the windows, laughing, calling each other's names. At the doorway, Awa hesitated. Her uniform was crisp, her sandals new, her backpack tugged tight against her chest, but her eyes were uncertain. Ibrahim placed a steady hand on her father's shoulder. "You've carried her far enough," he said softly. "Now let her walk toward her own future." Then he crouched in front of Awa, his red beret catching the sunlight. "Climb aboard," he told her with a warm smile. "Your place is in the classroom." She looked back at her father. He gave her a small nod, his lips trembling with pride. Awa drew a deep breath, straightened her shoulders, and whispered, "I promise, sir." And she stepped onto the bus. The bus lurched forward, carrying her toward a new life. The days that followed felt like a second birth. Each morning, the bus horn echoed. Down the lane, and Awa would shout, with her braids swinging, her father watching proudly from theaterway. At school, she began quietly, notebook open, sitting at the back. But one, the teacher asked a simpler arithmetic question, her hand lifted almost, by instinct. The answer came quickly, correct. The class turned in surprise. Wa lowered her gaze, but ashy smile tugged at her lips. During breaks, she filled her notebook with drawings, baobab trees, bustling markets, her father resting in sunlight, Soon children crowded around. "Draw my house," one boy begged. "Show me how to make the river shine," another asked. Her hands, once worn from selling peanuts under the sun, now create worlds on paper. Weeks slipped into months. The program spread beyond Ouagadougou, reaching villages. Far away, families began to feel the change, one child at a time. One afternoon, Osticha sat at her desk, writing a letter. Ata has become a source of hope for this class. She shows us that with right support, even the most fragile dream can take root and grow. When Thelator reached Ibrahim, he read it twice. Slowly, he set it down and turned it toward the window. The sky above Theopital glowed red with the setting sun, the city alive with evening sounds. Hishist rose with a deep breath, heavy but full. "This," he murmured to himself, "is why I chose to serve, not for power, for children like Awa." But he knew. The gurney had only just begun. The day off's national address arrived. Kamas flashed, lights blazed, and the nation held its breath. Ibrahim stood before the podium, his uniform simple, his stint steady. He didn't need grandeur. His presence alone commanded the room. The story of AWA is not unique. Ibagan, his voice calm but firm. It is a story of thousands of children across our land. No child should sell panits under the burning sun when they should be learning in a classroom. No parent, widowed, disabled, or struggling, should have to choose between medicine and education. A hush fell across Burkina Faso. Families leaned closer to their radios and televisions. Mothers clasped their children's hands. Fathers nodded, quietly, their faces heavy with memorias of their own struggles. That night, word spread like fire. Youth groups launched campaigns, civil society elders mobilized, private companions offered scholarships and internships, abandoned community halls reopened, after-school centers. Forgotten schools found new life, their courtyards filling gons more with children's laughter. But Ibrahim knew speeches were not enough. Trust had to be earned. Within weeks, a public tracking system appeared, showing province by province how funds were spent. Independent audits followed. Ibrahim himself began visiting schools without warning, sat with teachers, listened to children, and walked theodicity paths of remote villages. One quiet afternoon, he entered a modest classroom in Bobo de Lasso. The chalkboard was cracked, the benches worn, but the air pulsed with recitations. Sunlight streamed through broken shutters, dust dancing in the beams. At the back, a girl leaned over her notebook, sketching with fierce concentration. She hadn't noticed him. Ibrahim stepped soft like Lozer, his boots barely creaking. "Awa," he said, his voice gentle, almost teasing. Her head shot up. Surprise flashed in her eyes. Then joy broke through. "Mr. President, you came again," he smiled, pulling up a small wooden stool beside her. "Of course, I wanted to see how my brightest student is doing. What's that you're working on?" Shilly, she turned the notebook. A baobab tree stretched across the page, its roots twisting deep into the soil. "We're learning about ecosystems," she explained. "I drew it so I remember." Ibrahim studied it, nodding slowly. "You've captured more than a tree, you've captured its strength. Do you know what baobab is sometimes called? Her isolate, the tree of life?" "Exactly," he said. "And do you know why? Because like you, it gives more than it takes." Wa giggled softly, then leaned closer, lowering her voice. "They always ask me for help," she confessed, glancing at her classmates. "Math, reading, sometimes even drawing." The teacher who had quietly approached heads, mild. "She's become a leader. Always first to arrive, last to leave. When others struggle, she doesn't. Wait, Falm." She leans in and helps them herself. Ibrahim turned back to her, his chest swelling with quiet pride. "And how does it feel helping them?" She tapped her pencil against the desk, thoughtful. "It feels good. Before, I was always the one behind. But now, I know how it feels when Somion believes in you. I want others to feel it too." For a long moment, Hedges looked at her. The little girl who's trembled in the streets with a tray of peanuts, now sitting. Tall, her voice steady and sure. He placed a hand gently on her shoulder. "Keep going, Awa," has said softly. You are not just the future. You are already shaping it. Her smile spread wide. She whispered back, certain and strong. I won't stop, sir. It primes outside. The sky stretched widened golden. Ibrahim paused by his car, gazing down the dusty road that he sappered into the horizon. The challenges ahead were enormous. Setbacks, resistance, doubt. But Heck read her words with him, a promesichoing, louder than any speech. Awastery was no longer just hers. It had come a spark, a movement, a flame that would outlive them both. This story reminds us that change doesn't begin with speeches or promises. It begins with courage to face the truth and the heart to act for the voiceless. One child's cry can awaken a leader, and one leader's action can transform a nation. If this touched you, don't forget to like this video. Subscribe to the channel and share it because together can spread stories that inspire real change. Thank you for watching.